Okay, welcome to group today. We're going to do something pretty cool, and I'm calling this time travel. So, we're going to time travel back in time, and you guys are going to get a do over. So, this is going to be really cool. If you ever looked back, you could just answer this silently or answer this in the group chat. Um, we're not coming off of mute while I'm doing this teaching, but if you want to respond in the group chat, that's totally okay. Um, have you ever felt like you wanted to go back in time and change the way that something happened? Like you had an event and you look back, and I'm so guilty of this. Like I will replay a situation in my mind and be like, man, I wish I would have like stood up more for myself in that moment. Or man, I wish I wouldn't have been so mean to that person in that moment. Like we can develop like some guilt about the way that some shit went down. So today we are going to actually time travel back in time to some of these moments, and we're going to do a do-over. Now, you might be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I know you don't have an actual time machine, Rachel, and no, I don't. But there's this really cool thing that we do, and we can go into a certain, spiritual vibration or dimension or whatever you want to call it, right? Where that space, that time, that flow that we talk about in the book and the program, where time isn't really relevant anymore. We talk about getting into that flow state where you're present and time feels weird. A minute can feel like an hour and an hour can feel like a minute. And linear time, you're just not really connected to it. So when we're in that space, we can play with this concept of time and do some cool things in our consciousness to help ourselves heal. So that being said, that's what we're doing today. We're going to do a do-over. So we're going to put that to the side for a minute, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about something called the drama triangle. The drama triangle is if you picture a triangle, and each point on the triangle, one of them is the victim, one corner is the villain, and the other corner is the hero. So we have these three archetypes, these three characters: the villain, the hero, and the victim. Now, this is a common dynamic that a lot of us can play out in our actual lives, and it kind of comes from the whole fairy tale deal, like things we've seen on TV. A lot of movies and stuff sort of have these archetypes of a victim-like character, a hero-like character, and a villain-like character, such as like the damsel in distress, the innocent youth, the underdog being like a victim, some kind of villain like a giant or a dragon or some kind, evil person. And then the hero, like the knight or the prince or the actual superhero or something like that, that comes and saves the day. Now, in life, rather than the movies, this is going to look a little bit more like the victim would just be like the person experiencing a threat, the person feeling powerless, the person that's in need of rescue. And the villain would look more like somebody who maybe manipulates or controls or is doing the thing harmful to the other person. The hero would be just somebody who would protect, be selfless, noble, take the action that defends that victim. So drop a heart or a comment if you're following me so far. Are we understanding what the victim is, the villain, and the hero on these triangles? I see a heart. Okay, so we got our triangle. There's these different roles. Now, when we're playing out this triangle of archetypes in our lives, the thing is that somebody kind of always, you have to be one of them, okay? In your stories, in your conflicts. This is also referred to as a conflict triangle. So we're talking about conflict, we're talking about drama, conflict, interpersonal situations with people, right? We can fall into these categories. So you have to be one of them in your stories of conflict. And the other people involved are also going to be one of these roles. So here's the thing, right? There's always 2 or more sides to a story. There's always multiple sides to a story. You're saying I've been all 3 at different times. Absolutely, you have. And we all have been all 3 at different times. And that's what's important for us to realize is what role we were playing out in our stories. And then it's going to get a little deeper than that also once we figure out what role we were and what the roles of the other people were. There's more we're going to do with it here in a minute. So it's good that you see that already. So there's 2 or more sides to every story. Depending on how many people there are, there can be so many different ways that story could feel. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a conflict. So most likely me talking about this has already brought some kind of past conflict to your awareness. When I said the thing at the beginning, I'm like, don't you want to go back in time and like redo a situation? Something popped up in your mind. So let's take that scenario and turn it into sort of this fairy tale dynamic, right? Where we're going to label the different characters or archetypes in our story as one of these. Figure out which one you were, which one the people you were in conflict with were, and go ahead and smack that label on them, right? If you were the victim, if they were the villain. When we're blaming, that's typically like if you're blamed, they did this, they did that, that would normally be like you're being the victim, right? When we're blaming. If you're defensive, wait, no, I didn't, like you're probably being in the villain mode. And if you were, trying to stick up for somebody or getting involved in something where you really weren't the one participating, that means you were probably being the hero. There's lots of different scenarios, but it's typically pretty easy to figure out. And if you need help, we can always look at that together in a minute. So it'd be like, once upon a time, right, there was a girl who this, that, and the other. Let's kind of jot it out like as if it were a story in our mind. And so since this type of dynamic has played out in all the media that we have been ingesting since we were children, from the books we were reading to the Disney movies we were watching to literally even, the adult shows and soap operas and everything that we've been exposed to since childhood plays this role out and has these archetypes in it. We subconsciously adopt this sort of thing and we relate to this and we think that we have to be in one or the other or one of these roles. So we get stuck in that triangle of bouncing. Like you said, I've been all three at different times. That's because we get stuck in that dynamic and we just kind of bounce ding 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 back and forth between those roles. So we're going to transcend the triangle today. We're going to get out of the triangle. You've ever heard somebody be like stuck in a box, like stuck in a little paradigm? Well, this is stuck in a triangle. So here's the thing. We're going to go ahead and neutralize the energy of that experience. Hang on a second. Oh, we got another one coming in. We're going to neutralize. Gotta try to make sure I can mute her really fast. Make sure you mute yourself coming in. Okay, so we're going to, the next step is to neutralize the energy. We're neutralizing the energy by taking this like good, bad sort of duality situation out at first. So first of all, none of us in the story get to be the good guy or the bad guy anymore. So it's not like I'm the hero and you're the victim, or you're the villain and I'm the hero. And so taking that ability to be one or the other out of the situation neutralizes the energy. And then we're going to kind of picture ourselves moving up, above, and out of the situation and looking down on it as if it's the triangle, right? We're going to see the situation and see each person in their role. And that kind of pulls us up above and out of that triangle where we can look at it really consciously. And once we do that, we kind of can neutralize that energy and make it where, nobody's good or bad or the best or any of these things anymore, right? We take those archetypes and those stereotypes out of the mix. And now we're all just people. And then we kind of switch to this thing where we're just the problem solver now, right? We're not really one of the roles or the characters in the story. Now we're a problem solver trying to figure out how to make this whole thing okay. So we can see all the roles, and now all of the characters in the situation are partners in solving this problem and figuring out how to look at it a different way. So that's how we're going to transcend that triangle. Does that make sense? Throw some hearts. Is everybody following? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we're going to do a little visualization. I'm going to walk you guys through going into your story, and this is the part where we're going to time travel. And we're going to reverse roles. So this is going to be fun. We're going to reverse roles where you get to go back into your story and play it out a different way, right? If you were the victim, then you're going to let yourself be the hero in the story. Or, where you see what I'm saying? Like, you're going to go through and do it in a different way that puts you into a better role, right? Where you can see that you have choices and that you're going to get your do-over. And then after that, we're going to move up into a new perspective and just kind of let it all go. Okay, so everybody close your eyes. Get comfortable and close your eyes. And everybody just breathe in. Just getting grounded in your energy, getting grounded in your space, just getting comfortable. And I want you to bring that situation that you were thinking about at the beginning. Bring that to the forefront of your mind. I want you to visualize it as if you are in that situation right now. Put yourself back in the past, where you were then. Right there with those people, having that conflict, having that argument, having that dramatic situation. Feeling the feelings that you were experiencing at that time. Maybe feeling that powerlessness of being the victim in that moment. Maybe feeling defensive as if you were being blamed and you're being that villain in the moment. Bring those feelings up to your conscious awareness. See the surroundings around you. Continue to pull that experience back to the forefront of your mind, right here into the here and now, until you're feeling it as if it's happening right now to you. Remember the feelings, let it come to the surface, let it flow out, visualizing the faces, the things those people were saying, what you were saying, what you guys were doing, where you were at. Even if you can remember like what clothes you were wearing or what objects you were holding, what space you were in, where you were living, where you were at in the world, what type of space and environment you were in, what kind of things were going on, what time of day it was, all of that kind of stuff. And once it's here, so present and conscious and aware in your mind, I want you to visualize it changing. And so if you're the victim in the story feeling powerless, I want you to suddenly move into your power. How would you do it if you could do it differently? What would you say if you were in your power in that situation? If you were the villain in that situation, what would happen if you became the hero? What if you could just move into a better role, do it another way, get a redo? What would you say? What would you do? How would you act? Would you leave a situation that maybe you stayed in too long? Would you say something when maybe you chose to stay silent before? How would it look? How would it feel to do it another way, a better way, a way that shifts you into a better feeling role? And then once you've experienced it in a better way, in a better energy, in a better role, let's go ahead and transcend this drama triangle completely. I want you to now move up and out of the situation. Let your spirit move out of that body and float up into the sky until you can look down on yourself as a physical body and the other people in that conflict. And look down and see all of them there. Even pause it, pause the movie, pause the film, right? See them just all standing there still as these little characters in a movie that you could just pause. Lift yourself up out of it. Now you're no longer the role you were before in the first version. Now you're no longer the role you were in the second version. The other person isn't that role anymore. That's just a thing. It's just a tape that once played. And you can see it for what it is now. You guys were just in some roles that maybe weren't serving you in your highest form. Maybe you weren't in your highest form, they weren't in their highest form. You guys were just stuck in some human dynamic that we made up in our minds. Let's breathe that in. It's just this neutral thing. It's just nothing. And then I want you to shrink it down. Just see it shrinking and getting smaller as you get farther and farther away. And I want you to send it back into the past. Now that it has a neutral energy, it's in a better vibe, just send that movie back to the past where it belongs. All the way back to the time and place in which it occurred. But with a better vibe and with a better type of memory than the one that you had. Sending it back with love and neutrality, love for all involved, love for yourself, seeing that you knew less than you know now, that you were unaware then, and you're aware now, that you were stuck then and you're free now, that the other people involved were stuck then, didn't know better, all of those things. All right. Just send it back to the past with love. And it can just be there in the past, being neutral. unattached to emotion, small. Send it back until it feels so far away and you feel so free from it in your current reality. And then see that spirit moving back into your present body. And I want you to just reconnect with your physical body. You can do some things like moving your fingers and your toes around and just bringing all that feeling of peace and bliss, relief with you as you move back into your skin, stretching everything out, moving your head around. Anything you need to do to kind of ground and come back into the here and now. Taking some deep breaths again. Blessing that past one more time. And then just kind of wipe your hands of it and just be like, I'm done. Done with that. It's in the past. And then whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. If that moment is now, go ahead. If you need a couple more minutes to just kind of reconnect to your body, you can always begin to just touch like some things around you. Say your name in your mind, like I am in your name. Think about the date and the time today, where you're at, your seat that you're sitting in, the space that you're in, your home, what we're doing, where you're at. All those things can kind of help to ground you a little bit. And I hope you had an amazing time going back in time and getting a do-over. We time traveled today and we transcended the triangle dynamic. So congratulations, you guys fucking rock. So I love what you just brought up about that you thought you were the victim and then you shifted and realized you were actually the villain. And it's so cool that you realized that, because we can so it's also kind of family dynamics too. So we can shift back and forth between roles. And, you know, when we're in conflict with the same people over and over again, we all have like our stereotypical role that we always tend to fall into, right? So as soon as you figure out your role and you transcend that role and you choose to not walk back into that dynamic in the family or in the situation as that same role ever again, then it forces the other people to also not be in their role, right? Or you left the paradigm and they can be in their roles, but you don't have to play into that story anymore. And then the one thing that happens, you know, once you figure out the roles that you typically fall into, you can see that trap where instead of being like, oh, I'm the victim, now I'm the villain, now I'm the victim, now I'm the villain, and bouncing back and forth between these two roles, you can be like, well, I don't want to be either one of those fucking things anymore. I'm going to be none of them, right? So I just love how you were able to see that. I think that was so powerful. All right, let's affirm a few things today. Hands on hearts. And if we're going to claim it with me and say, I am powerful beyond measure. I am a limitless spirit who transcends space and time. I can change my reality. Everything that I need to heal myself is within me. I have the ability to reshape my past and shape my future. I can heal myself from everything that has ever harmed me. I have the ability to free myself from anything that has me stuck. And I have the ability to create anything that I want. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of health. I am worthy of wealth. And today, I will wear my crown. I love you guys.